We'd like to thank all of our Dan K Show listeners for tuning into today's podcast with owner and head coach of the Twin City Thunder, Dan Hodge. With the recent occurrence in the Lewiston-Auburn, Maine area, today's subject matter on the podcast could be traumatizing or difficult to deal with for some who have dealt with similar incidents or are a part of the LA community. With that in mind, we bring you today's podcast to hopefully start some of the healing process and provide some ways for those in the LA community and beyond throughout the United States and the world. Try to provide some ways for you to help out the community, those families affected, and everyone in the LA community.
And Dan, while there are certainly no graphic descriptions of the events, we do recognize that there are a lot of people who have faced similar circumstances, and hearing the impact of those events may be enough to cause some to relive that trauma or make people feel uncomfortable. So if that does apply to you, we wanted to let you know that and give you that option here and now.
With that in mind, we do thank Dan Hodge for joining us. And after the podcast, we all discussed the importance of communicating during these moments and speaking of our feelings and how we've been affected by traumas in our lives. So many times we try to be tough in the sport of hockey and just in the world as men, one of the biggest listening bodies of this podcast and of this show. But we want to make sure that we remind every single player out there, every young athlete, every young person listening in, and every adult as well, that it is okay to talk. It is okay to speak our mind, our feelings, and it's important to find those that we trust and we love to vent to. And we're always here for you. And we hope you enjoy today's podcast as much as we can in this tough time. What's going on, hockey fans? Welcome into a very important Dan K Show, a tough one to put together today, and a tough week for the great people of Lewiston-Auburn, Maine. The LA area, as it is so well known by the people up in Maine, has gone through what we can only call a tragedy and a situation that has been tough to wrap our heads around over the last few days and weeks here as information has come out, as we found what has unfolded here in such a beautiful town, a place that has treated us like a second home every time we've gone up to it with our show and with what we do. And the great people of LA, Maine are starting to heal and starting the healing process. And with that, we invite in a man who we love, a guy who we usually have conversations with under much better pretenses. Usually we talk about the foliage up there and fun things. Today, tougher conversation, tougher context, but still one that has to be had, and one that we are happy to have with him right now. Dan Hodge of the Twin City Thunder, of our NCDC, our Tier 2 tuition-free hockey. Dan, I know a lot going on up there in Twin City, in LA, and in Maine right now. How are the boys doing up there?
Well, thanks for doing this, guys. I appreciate it. It's funny. I was driving up the road, up the highway today. I was looking at all the leaves are turning, so they're all falling off the things. So every time I drive the highway, I think about you guys and all the fun jokes we tell about the foliage. But it's been a tough week, tough 10 days here. Just kind of really trying to, the city was on lockdown for 2 days, and the rink was closed, and the players were at their billet houses. And when you first hear it, the first thing you think about is your family. Everybody's safe in your family, and then you start thinking about the players, because a lot of players live in real close proximity to both sites there. And obviously, you start hoping they're all safe and sound. And and luckily our players were at their billets, and they were 7:00 at night is the time to be out having dinner, maybe bowling or something like that. And fortunately we didn't have to deal with anybody being in either place.
Yeah, and it's such a terrifying thought, right? You think about having a group of guys traveling from around not just the country but the world to come play hockey in your town, and I know, Dan, you take it very seriously, being the overseer of these people, right? Almost not just a coach, but a parent on the road, somebody who understands the importance of keeping these guys safe for their families and for their friends and their loved ones around the world. and you find out this information. I know when we saw that night, it's the first thing you think of is where are all the guys? Where is everyone out at? Can you kind of just walk me through your night that night and kind of since then? I mean, where have you been?
Well, again, the original. First of all, I think there's two junior hockey teams in this area. Within a stone's throw from each other. So you're like, oh goodness, my guys are good, their guys are good. One of their former players was actually shot, but he's pulling through. He's in the hospital right now. Kyle Secor. It's been tough. Sorry.
No,
It's been tough. It's been tough. It's been a tough. It really has. It's been. People don't realize. What if one of your kids are there, one of your players, you're there, like you say, you oversee them, and you're there to. Parents are trusting you to have them their best players. Obviously hockey is a small part of it, right? But you walk out of here and you want them to be good young men, and then something like this happens, and you see the effect it has. These kids are 16, 17, 18 years old, and maybe they're not directly affected, but they're mentally affected, emotionally affected, and you try to hide it. I've been trying to hide it for a while, but it's it's very hard. It's difficult to look these kids in the eyes and think, my players would go to that bowling alley, and what if they were there, dealing with a whole different thing. But there are some people that are really grieving up here. There's some families that are really hurt, and some people that are really been affected by this. And the great thing about this community is, though, it's strong, they heal, and the people, the outpouring of support that you see from not only the people in the community, but around the surrounding areas, the surrounding states. I mean, my phone didn't stop ringing, didn't stop, text messages didn't stop coming in, that night. Just, how are you? How are your players? And then you got to tell parents, hey, your son's safe. He's at his billet, and they're on lockdown. Got to explain the situation. But yeah, it's definitely been emotional. But we're pulling through as a group and a family. And I think that's the best thing about hockey, right? You have, you walk into a locker room, got 25 brothers, 24, 25 brothers, and you gotta, again, like you say, you're overseeing it, and you want to see the family, do well and be safe. And they're a great bunch of kids. And, again, you think about the Nordiques across the road, and, hopefully, this Kyle Secor, he pulls through, and he's, but it's tough. A lot of people lost some good people, and it's a lot of grieving in this area right now.
Yeah, and this Lewiston-Auburn area, what we love so much about it every time we get up there is it's such a tight-knit community, right? It feels like everyone is connected to everyone in some way, shape, or form. Which makes this an even tougher situation, right? It hits close to home, both literally and just in terms of this community's ability to kind of band together. Can you kind of talk about the community itself right now, the Lewiston-Auburn area? How's that looking up there? How are the people doing, and what's going on right now to kind of help and build this thing back together?
Well, I mean, you definitely see some people, like the Battle of Bridges, the EL Lewiston football game, high school game was postponed, but they played it last night, or playing it tonight, I should say. Last night. And then you've got some games, some hockey games. The rink was on lockdown for 2 days, and then you came and we were able to get in on Saturday, and saw kids start to play hockey again. And and there were some more games this past week and practices, and I guess trying to get it back to as normal as possible. But quite honestly, you see it in the parents' eyes. A lot of the parents lost friends or someone they knew that was affected. Like you said, Caleb Labrie is real close with Kyle Secor, and Caleb's my assistant coach, and I see him going through it. It's not easy. But again, people are this is such a great community. I've been here for 6 years and with the teams, and you knew that this is a very family oriented community, and everybody's, like you said, interconnected, and everyone nowadays. Now you see it. You just really see how you doing. You good? Yeah, yeah. And just the people. There's a certain kindness that you really see on display up here right now, and it's refreshing in a way. And it's too bad that something like this had to happen in order to bring that out. But it's such a great community that people are really have each other's backs, and they're really caring for each other.
And Lucas, we introduce you in now, obviously a tough subject matter here. And do you have anything for Coach?
Well, Coach, I know we kind of talked over text about, obviously the players, and as you said, like your thoughts are with the people of the Twin Cities, and then your thoughts go to the players next and making sure they're okay. But as this relatively short time frame has kind of passed here from the incident to now, you're talking about playing the game, right, against the Northern Cyclones. How have the players been reacting to it? How have they been kind of processing everything, and what's that been like for them?
I think, as again, we got back in the rink on Saturday. We had a team meeting. We made sure we made any kind of, you need to talk to anybody, any kind of anything available for players to kind of vent or to have their voices heard. Again, I think for them, we want to get back to playing hockey. We want to get back to what's normal. So I think Saturday was definitely a emotional, tough day but I thought Sunday, Monday, we've kind of gotten back into our rhythm. But again, they want to start playing. We want to be coaching. We want to focus on tonight, and we want to focus on the game. We want to be able to really put on a show and really, really, I know the Cyclones are coming in. I've talked to Coach Flanagan. He's gonna bring one of his daughter's signed jerseys, Callie Flanagan signed jersey, for the auction. We're gonna wear special LA Strong jerseys that we're gonna auction off tonight after the game. We're gonna do the best we can, and every dollar that comes into the door is gonna go to the families. So, we're excited about that. But again, like, the players, they want to play, and playing hockey, I think, will be a good way of kind of level setting everything and getting everything back to what the new normal is.
Yeah, that game is going to be tonight against the Northern Cyclones. You'll have donation-based tickets at the door, obviously some raffles and everything that will go to support the area. And Dan, you and I have visited that area so many times. We know how tight knit it is. We know how everyone, it kind of feels like a very small town, but also a town that welcomes you in, like you said, every single time we go up there.
Yeah, and I think when you look at these situations, it doesn't matter where this type of incident happens. It's an incident we all can't wrap our heads around, right? When you look at the normal populace of the world, there's not a million people who can wrap their heads around doing something of this nature, right? So it's hard to understand why someone would do this. It's hard to understand why we have to go through this pain after something like this time and time again. And for our players out there, before we kind of dig into what the Boston Bruins have going on a little bit more about the event, for our players out there, I always remind guys that, toughness it's hand in hand in hockey. We're talking to Dan Hodge. I mean, the entire Hodge family is about being tough on the ice, right? Like that, you guys built an entire brand off of it. You built a career off of it. But toughness stops when you get to your brain, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a part of your body that's meant to be tough, whether it's talking about concussions on the ice and things like that we talk about on the regular, or it's talking about how you feel, man. And right now, this is not a time to be tough. This is a time to feel what you're feeling. This is a time to express that to those that you feel close to, or to work to find people that you feel close to, or to find medical professionals. If you don't have someone in your life that's a close enough friend or family member that you feel like you can unpack this with, it's okay to also seek that help as well. And that's something that I want to make sure that our players, our young athletes around the country, and even our coaching staffs and our owners, I mean, adults as well, we all feel it. And whether it's this situation or whether it's just the daily rigors of life, we have to communicate. And that's what helps. Mental health and proper mental health care is what helps us avoid situations of these nature. Make sure we find people to talk to. And Dan, I know you, in working in this event, beyond this event, we've shared some things about it as well. The Boston Bruins have some aid that they're putting together, some help. Can you kind of talk about what they've got going on right now with the Bruins organization at the NHL?
Yeah, okay. One of the first when this all happened, we started talking about tonight's game and the fundraising. Excuse me. My first thought was to reach out to the Bruins, Bob Sweeney, the Bruins Foundation, and he was like, "Yep, no problem. What do you need?" And then he's gonna send us a signed jersey. And then he asked, can you help with the Bruins Foundation with the getting the word out about it and the fundraising they were doing for it. So yeah, absolutely. And I sent it on, I sent it to all the coaches and the NCDC, and that's such a great bunch of guys that are like, yeah, no problem. We'll put it up on our social media right now. I sent it to you guys, sent it to Josh Boyd. It was up in seconds. Like, it's just one of those things where, it's a huge thing for us. It's a huge thing for the Bruins to be doing it. I mean, they've already pledged $100,000. So, anything above and beyond that is going to be, it's going to be very helpful to these families. So, you see the QR code, give what you can, because a lot of people are going to go through a lot of things for a long time. And it's just, this isn't something that's going to go away in a week or a year. This is going to be something that's going to affect a lot of people for a long time to come.
Yeah, and we look at the Boston Bruins organization and what they're doing. We're thankful for that. We see what you're doing tonight with Bill and the Northern Cyclones and trying to get back to hockey. Can you kind of talk to me? I mean, how's that going to feel in your mind? What do you predict? What do you see coming forward when you try to get back to normalcy and play some hockey for the first time since all this?
Well, I think it's going to be emotional, obviously, and I think once the puck drops and the game starts, it'll be back to hockey. But there'll be a lot of people in the building. We're going to have some dignitaries from the city and from the first responders do a puck drop, wearing special jerseys, like we talked about, just having auctioning them off at the end of the night, off the players' backs. Proceeds going towards the foundations. So I'm hoping when the puck drops, it's going to be just okay. Now we're back to what we're doing. Now we're doing why we're here is to play hockey and but again, I think it'll be some emotions for sure for a lot of people in the building. This might be one of the first big events since. So hopefully we'll raise a lot of money, have a great game. I know the Cyclones are a great hockey team. Coach Flanagan just does great things.
Yeah. And I think that you talk about Coach Flanagan, you talk about all the coaching staff throughout the NCDC kind of banding together on this. And I know it's one of the things we love so much about this group, right? Beyond the hockey of it, when you look at this NCDC brand and these coaches around the league, the Tyler Holskys, the Bill Flanagans, the Mike Marcoux, the Toby Harrises, like there's a group that really understands that there's a reason to band together in this, right? And there's a reason to work together to help each other out. And it's whether it's helping kids get recruited when we talk about the hockey side of this thing, or it's banding together in big tough moments like this, similar to when you just look at it and you look at the base of it all, and you love to see people come together in tough moments of these nature. And Luke,
funny, those names you mentioned were the first five guys.
Yeah. And you see it, right? And you just, for me, that's what this should be about at this level. For when you talk about the hockey side of it, we're talking about kids. We're talking about kids. Like, and I don't care what you say. When I was 20 years old, I was a kid still. Like I might be an adult when I'm 20, but I'm still a kid, man. And I'm on the road and I'm playing hockey and I'm enjoying my life. Like, that's what I think we lose track of sometimes. And in a moment like this, we immediately snap back to understanding that. We understand that's a 20-year-old kid again. We understand that's a 16-year-old kid again, who's on the road in a town that they're learning. I mean, you're 2 months into the season right now, right? They're still learning LA. They're still learning Lewiston-Auburn. They're still learning their new home, learning their billet families. And for something like this to happen in that time frame, we hope all those guys are doing okay. I mean, Lucas, do you have anything else for Coach here before we let him get back to getting ready for tonight?
Well, I think just one more thing I wanted to kind of bring up that Coach, you and I had kind of texted about, and it was the idea that it was gonna take a while, right? And this is going to be a longer process. And I think for the players, for anyone watching this who's affected, it's okay if it takes time. It's okay
Mhm.
if it even takes time for the initial shock to hit, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel a little bit weird because it doesn't hit you, and then a couple of weeks later it does,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, for the players, Coach, I'm sure you can speak to how much you support them and how much you have their back. But we've known you for a while, and we know that you put these players first, whatever they need, whenever they need it. Is certainly going to be a situation where they can look to you and the organization for help if and when they do need it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I do. I've always been about the players. It's funny you say it hit you, right?
Mhm.
It hit me. So you try to play it off and try to not let it affect you, but it does. It affects you. So hopefully we can start the healing process.
For everybody watching, for everybody who wants to know how they can help, for how they can be a part in some way of the healing process for this great town, for this great area, for these Twin Cities, for the Lewiston-Auburn area, for LA, Maine. You can look at dankshow.com. You can go to the Boston Bruins Foundation and give there. Get out to the rink tonight and support if you are in that LA area, and support the team and its players in its mission to helping all of these families in the recovery process, in the healing. The 18 that lost their lives, the 13 injured in this incident. This
And we'll have things all month long, Dan and Lucas. We'll have like auction items all month long. My dad and Phil Zito are gonna get together and sign some memorabilia that we'll be able to auction off. I mentioned, Callie Flanagan's jersey signed. The Kachuk brothers, they both sending signed memorabilia. So we're gonna have stuff that we hope that people will find that they want, and people will bid on it, and and understand that every dollar is going back to these families. So hopefully we'll have more people, more organizations want to have us use their memorabilia for the auctions and for the raffles, and hopefully again we're looking forward to raising some good money for this cause.
We know we have a lot of hockey people that watch this show and listen in. We hope that if you hear this and you've got something you think you can provide that might go well at an auction or might help raise money or raise funds, please reach out to Dan. Please reach out to the Twin City Thunder. Dan, if you have an email address you could provide, we can hand that out to folks as well here so that they
It's
can.
tough one, Lucas, right? Yeah, Hodge at TwinCityThunder.com. Just please, if there's anything you can do, and there's QR codes we can send for if everybody just, hey, I can't make the game, but I want to make a donation. Like you said, look on our web pages, look on our social medias. Everything's there. Now you can just click your camera at it, and it brings you right to the foundation and to the donation page. So, we just again, we're trying to help this community heal, and this community is going to help heal us as well.
That's it. We band together in moments like this, right, Coach? And the community of LA is expanded to the community of this entire country. I know that that is certainly true. And I know that when moments like this happen, it might take time, but there are a lot of strong people, not just in your room, but throughout that entire community that are going to band together. And there are great things to come for a great town. If you haven't been to LA, I suggest that you get there sometime when you get a chance. It's a wonderful town. It's a beautiful place, just a bit north of Portland, Maine. You get up there and it's just, you feel welcomed in right away. You get a couple hot dogs, as they say up there, you get
Red snappers.
the red snappers, you have a little lobster, you enjoy yourself, and you have a great time. The Norway Savings Bank Arena was a great place to take in a game of hockey up there. And Coach, we thank you. I know it's tough to have this conversation, right? It's not one you expect to have. You don't put a whistle around your neck and get on the bench to have this conversation, but it is something you wind up in when you take on the fact that you take on the parental coaching role of a lot of guys coming to a new place.
Yeah, I was saying to my wife, I was like, I thought COVID was gonna be the hardest thing we dealt with. COVID, you're shut down, and all of a sudden something like this happens. You're like, oh, but yeah, you're right. It's it's part of the job, right? But it's about guiding young men and hopefully, guiding them in the right direction. So hopefully, I appreciate you guys doing this, letting me kind of get in front of people, all your fans and all the fans of the NCDC and around the country or whatever. Just, just keep the community in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Coach. We will close it here with parting words. Is there anything else that you have for the folks, just in terms of helping out, or any message for the folks from LA, and anything from you?
No, we love you all. Just LA strong.
LA strong, C-Corps strong. And I know that as the healing process goes on, we remind all those players, whether from Twin City or any players around the country, don't ever be afraid to reach out to us. We're here to talk. We have guys that reach out to us and talk to us throughout the year, whether it's the rigors of being in a new place, whether it's the rigors of learning a new language, whether it's the toughness of being away from home, or whether it's a loss that you deal with personally, or a loss of this nature that's just is impossible to wrap your head around in your community or in your area. We're here, and we're here to talk. Don't ever be afraid to reach out. Don't ever be afraid to talk to those you love. LA strong, and that's where we leave it. We hope that you guys can help in any way you can. And to all those people, we love you. We love you, LA.
Come to the game tonight and show your support. Let's have a great hockey game and start the healing process.